Hello and welcome to another Carbuyer Q&A session. Right, I'll tell you how this is going to work before we crack on. Now, normally I'll just waffle on for ages. So to prevent me doing that, we're going to set a timer and we're going to set the timer for 10 minutes. I'll talk for 10 minutes, right? I'm going to start it in a second, start answering the questions, and then when this timer goes off, I'm putting down the tools, I'm leaving, that's it. If I'm halfway through your question, then you have to come back next time and I'll answer it then, okay? It's some kind of, some union thing. It's not, it's just to speed things up. Okay, so we're gonna start now. So get asking questions and post them on YouTube. Right, there we go, look, there we go. Can you see, There we go, counting down, good. Right, so first question, a lot of you guys have been, well, seen that I've been driving the new Civic Type R, the Honda Civic Type R. We've just done a video on it for Carbuyer. It will be out in probably a week or so. But very briefly, what do I think of it? So, well, it's a very, very impressive hot hatch. Probably my favorite hot hatch right now. I'm not sure whether I'd have it or the Golf R. Obviously, it's just front wheel drive, but it has 306 brake horsepower, which is a lot, and it can put that power down onto the road thanks to a limited slip differential and some clever front suspension geometry, and it just feels really, really sort of like you can really feel what the car's doing beneath you. It's got immense brakes, the gear shift's lovely, all the things you touch inside the car, such as the steering wheel, where you rest your elbows, the seats are lovely, the pedals are great as well. So every bit that you actually touch the car, it just feels special and sporty. The only problem with the car is that it looks like it's been stolen from the set of the Fast and the Furious 7. So yeah, it's a little bit kind of over the top, especially for something that's £30,000. People who can afford that kind of cash on, to spend on a car, they might want something a little bit more subtle. So yeah, you'll be able to see the review soon. Next question then, what is the Tesla like to drive? A lot of people are always asking about the Tesla. It seems to have quite a huge following actually, but generally the Tesla is a very interesting car. It feels different than a normal car, obviously, because it's got an electric powertrain, and the thing with electric cars, as I'm sure you're aware, you get this instant throttle response because an electric motor can deliver 100% of its torque immediately, and whereas a normal, let's say a normal petrol engine car, the more you rev it, the faster you go, the faster it seems to accelerate, whereas in an electric car it's the other way around. So the faster you go, the less torque you get from the electric motor. So that's a bit strange, and obviously the lack of noise is unusual. Overall, they're very pleasant because they're quiet. Drive, like the suspension's good, it's spacious inside, the seats are nice. So overall, it is a good car to drive. The only problem with it is the range anxiety. Now the batteries, I think they give you a range of about 300 miles. That goes to about 200, and you've got to plan your journey because the Tesla's batteries are so huge that if you just plug it into a normal socket, then it takes about 24 hours to charge them up. So you need to go to fast chargers and preferably Tesla superchargers, which I think can charge the battery in less than an hour. But there's not so many of those about. Once there's the infrastructure, yeah, switch to electric cars will be easier, and they are pleasant to drive, and they have their own unique character. So yeah, we don't need to worry about switching over to electric cars. So next question then, what was my first car? Well, there's two ways of answering this. The first car that I actually got to drive was a Mini Metro. I don't know if you remember those, going back quite a bit, but it was a horrible thing. And I learned to drive in it, and I didn't have it for long because I crashed it within a month passing my test and wrote it off. Then I was very lucky because I got to drive around in my mum's XR2i, nice little hot hatch back in the day. I think it was an H-Row, so that's 1990, no, it was about 1990 or something, yeah. But my own first car that I bought with my own money was, once again, a Fiesta. It was a Fiesta Mark 1, and it was in yellow, apart from the driver's door, which was in primer grey. Yeah, it was an alright car, actually. I quite enjoyed driving it. I used to drive it up to university in Edinburgh and back. It was a good little car, good first car. So, next question. Can I review my Mazda MX-5? Now, I'm not sure how many of you guys know out there how that I have an MX-5. I recently tuned it, I supercharged it, and took the power from, it was doing 113 at the wheels up to 200 brake horsepower at the wheels. So a huge increase in power. It's much faster than before. Also, it rated the brakes, obviously, and it rated the suspension. So yeah, it's much better than it was before. It was quite a slow car, really, the MX-5. It's Mark II, and it was quite rolling in the corners. The brakes were all right, but yeah, it's much faster now with that supercharger, and it handles a lot better with the uprated suspension. Interestingly, next week I'm going to be driving the new MX-5, the Mark IV, heading off to Spain to do a review for it for Auto Express magazine. So look out for that online at autoexpress.co.uk. And eventually we'll be getting, I think a month or so later, we'll be getting the car in the UK, and we'll be doing it for Carbuyer then, because it's obviously the world's favourite roadster, isn't it? So look out for those. Okay, another question I've got is, what is my favourite road? I actually don't really know the names of them, but there's a place that we go to sometimes on launches in the south of France called Route Napoleon. It's in it goes up towards the Alps from the south of France, I think, and that's a lovely, lovely road. In the UK, well, I live in London, so there's nowhere around here. So which is my least hated road. I quite like the roads around where I do the Carbuyer filming, which is towards High Wycombe. They're quite nice, but you can't go particularly fast there. You probably noticed in the videos I just cruise around. Out in Wales, there's a great selection of roads when you go out towards Cracow, places like that. There's some lovely places in Wales, great places to drive. But it's getting the time to go out and drive on them. It's more for performance car testing, and as you know, for Carbuyer, it's more about kind of normal, everyday cars and family cars. So next question, what do I think of the new Kia Sorento from Gerald Weston? Well, I haven't driven it yet. The look of it, it looks fairly smart, and I think I sat in it at a motor show that they haven't rated the quality of the interior, but I haven't really spent enough time on it to comment. But once again, once you get it in the UK, we will be reviewing it, so I'll be able to let you know then. Richard Ingram, who I work with, actually said, my mum had an XR2i. Do we have the same, Mum? Yeah, he's not the funniest guy actually in the office, unfortunately, but he does try. So next question. What is the best 4x4? Well, actually, before I answer that, I'm just going to check the timer. So, 2.5 minutes left. Best 4x4. I've just driven the Volvo XC90. Been massively impressed with it. It's very nice to drive on the road. The cabin's lovely. It's very spacious. Can seat 7 people. As a 4x4 for going off-road, probably not the best, but the kind of people, well, most people who buy SUVs don't really go off-road, and I think overall that is perhaps the best 4x4. Also like the Land Rover Discovery Sport. Bit smaller, but it seats 7 as well, and that is better off-road. Okay, so next question. What is the Dacia Sandero like? The Sandero, it's a budget car. It's very cheap. I think it might still be the cheapest car on sale in the UK. And it's an honest little super mini, no frills, does a job. Don't expect too many creature comforts. The sound insulation isn't great. But if you want a new car that's cheap to buy and relatively cheap to run, then it's definitely worth looking at. And for me, in some ways, I think it's best to just go for the very, very basic one with nothing on it, because I think you can get that for around £6 or something. Okay, next question from ESJ. Do you think affordable coupes will gain more popularity, especially with rear-wheel drive? It seems as though most affordable sporty cars are now hot hatches. Well, I think more BMW, for instance, famous for doing rear-wheel drive cars, now doing front-wheel drive cars as well. I don't think we're going to see that many new coupes, small affordable coupes with rear-wheel drive. I think the things like the GT86 and the BRZ were an unusual thing, and apparently the sales haven't been that great. Whereas hot hatches, you've got a standard series car, production car. All you have to do, normal super mini, whack a big engine in it, change the suspension, and they sell in bigger numbers. So from a business point of view, they make more sense. And from a driving point of view, hot hatches give you pretty, all the thrills you really need. Like I said, that Civic Type R, great fun to drive. Is it better than a GT86? It's different, it's faster, it's grippier. I still like things like the GT86 for their rear drive bias, but for most people, most of the time, I think hot hatches pretty much, well, they tick almost all the boxes. So we're getting towards the end now. Oh, there we go, 21 seconds. So one more question then, if we're going to go for one. So what is the best Super Mini currently on sale? Well, quite a few to choose from at the moment. So VW Polo, I'm going to get this out quick. Skoda Fabia, Ford Fiesta, of course. Check out the new Mazda 2 as well. There we go. Time's up. That's it. Right, this is over. This session is over. So if you want to tune in, we'll be doing this kind of thing again in a month or so. Don't forget to go on to Carbuyer social media sites such as the Facebook and Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at Carbuyer UK. And of course, don't forget to check out our website for all the latest news, reviews, and videos on the very latest cars. Okay, over and out. Now I've got to turn this thing off. And I don't know how. I wonder if I just